Blog Talk Radio.
Archangels, ghosts, and Bigfoot, oh my. It's just another night for Supernatural Girlz. Real stories, real answers to life's biggest supernatural mysteries. And now for another exciting interview with paranormal experts from this world and others. Here are your supernatural hosts, Patricia Baker and Becky Andreasson. Supernatural Girlz.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Supernatural Girlz Radio. I am your host, Patricia Baker, and I am here with my terrific co-host, Becky Andreasson. How are you, Becky?
Hi, Patricia. I'm fine, and hi to everyone out there.
We have got a wild show tonight, don't we?
Yes, we do. Oh, my God.
It's going to be great.
So
it's with author, and his name is Xaviant Haze. And he is the author of the book Aliens in Ancient Egypt, The Brotherhood of the Serpent and the Secrets of the Nile Civilization, which everybody can go out and buy on Amazon.com. And we also have an extra copy we're going to be giving away to a lucky listener. So all you have to do is go to supernaturalgirls.com, and that Supernatural Girlz is with a Z. Subscribe to the newsletter, and we are going to pick a winner from that list. So go ahead on over to the website. Be sure to subscribe so that you can participate in all of these giveaways. We're going to be giving away a book a week. And this is a great book. Becky and I just read it, and it's fantastic. And we'll be bringing Xaviant on in just a few minutes. So also be sure.
Exciting.
I know, you're so excited. This is
excited.
Your thing.
Yes.
Well,
I
want
really
everybody
am. I was amazed.
Well, I know. You've been excited for days because every time we talk, you have another thing you're bringing up about his book, and I can't wait to hear what he has to say. So, But I want everybody to make sure they listen to the entire show, because at the end of every show, you, Becky, will be delivering a message from the elders to one of our listeners.
Yes, I will, and I have it here. I can't wait.
Good. So stay tuned, everybody. We do that every single Saturday night at the end of every show. And also we have discounts on products. We have all the latest show information on the website. And we also have a new Supernatural store with products and services to light your way. And, Becky, you've got a number of things that you're offering to people. And could you go ahead and just tell us a little bit about the prosperity prayer and the other private consultations that you offer for angelic writings and readings?
Sure. The prosperity prayer is in the store, and that is a fantastic prayer straight from the elders, and it brings in prosperity into people's lives. I'll tell you a little quick story. A woman had purchased the prosperity prayer, and I had heard through a friend she was having a problem with her husband, poor lady. And I said, look, tell her to just play the prayer, and he'll listen to it in the background, won't even know what hit him. And I'll tell you what, the next day, she was telling my friend, she was so excited. It was like night and day. He changed. And they have been listening ever since to it. And I'm telling you, they just love it. And their marriage is a lot closer. And they're building their business together and everything. And she is just ecstatic. And I was so happy to hear.
Thing. That is great. It's great. Yeah, very
that was
exciting.
The most recent. Mm-hmm. And then my private consolation. Excuse me, I can't talk tonight. Yes. Oh my gosh, those I'll be doing over the phone, and they can go to my email beckyandreasson.com at AOL.com and get in touch with me and set up an appointment, and I can let them know about that. We'll speak and everything I receive will be coming from the heavenly realm, from the angels, from the elders, and I will also end each session with an angelic prayer for them.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
Fantastic. So people can contact you again at Becky Andreasson at AOL.com, and all of this is listed on the website, so you can just click right on Becky's name. It'll bring you right to her, not only her own website, but right to her email if you'd like to communicate with her directly and schedule a session. And I'm also offering readings for everyone now, as well as dream interpretation and dream groups. So you can also find me online at supernaturalgirls.com. Just click on my name. It'll bring you right to me. And both Becky and I are offering a 10% discount to everyone who books appointments through the month of December. So feel free to just, drop us a line, tell us what you're interested in, and we can advise you from there and let you know what times and dates we have available.
Yes, and I've got to say about dreams, I mean, you do a fantastic job. What a gift. And
thank you.
People have to realize we consciously walk around all day and miss things. And our dreams are what fill up in the subconscious, telling us what we've missed and what's going on. Then they add up and pop out. And I mean, for someone to be able to let us know what is going on is just fantastic. That is wonderful that you do this, Patricia. Wonderful.
Well, thank you. I've been doing this for so many years, and then I kind of became a reluctant medium in the last couple of years. And when I do readings for people now, I never know who's going to show up, but invariably there's somebody. So I offer the readings, but I also offer the communication with people that have passed. And as you and I both know, that makes our show a little different, because usually during the show we have visitors, I would call them.
Yes.
And they show up and they make themselves known, and sometimes they have private messages for our guests, and sometimes they want everybody to know that they're there and what they have to say. So it kind of sets our show a little bit apart, because we're not just doing interviews with live people. There's more going on behind the scenes, and I think someday that'll all come out in our book, and people will hear the rest of the story. So
absolutely. Yes. That's the way it is, too. Guests from here and guests from there.
That's right. From both sides.
Absolutely.
Well, for the paranormal news tonight, I'm just going to do this fairly quickly, because I know we're both so excited to have Xaviant on the line here with us and talking to all of our listeners. But you brought this to my attention, Becky, this thing that they call the box of crazy. And it's so interesting. I suggest everybody just take a quick look at it online, because somebody put this wooden box next to the trash, and someone else picked it up and looked inside and found the most amazing contents. And, it's interesting. This person may have passed, and their relatives thought this was a piece of junk and just went to throw it out. But as it turned out, it had beautiful maps and illustrations and technical drawings and all kinds of things that seem to have global implications, stuff about extraterrestrials and landings, invasions, all kinds of things. And somebody thought this guy was out of his mind, right? But who's to say?
I think someone was in touch with them and had this all down and didn't dare to speak about it, because many people that do still to this day get ridiculed. So I think that's what went on, and nothing was being said. And then, something did happen. We don't even know what happened to this person, but this was found. It's amazing, amazing.
It is. And the drawings were so detailed. In fact, there were technical drawings that were so detailed they looked like they were for a patent application.
Yeah.
So, but the guy that found it said he looked it up. He couldn't find a patent application, but it looked like it was done to that degree of detail. And it was, again, amazing drawings, amazing photographs. In fact, I'll probably include it in next week's newsletter, because it was just mind-boggling. But it's so amazing because, again, many people are very judgmental about things like this. They don't understand or grasp how important this could be. And I think this is also, for our guest coming on tonight, I mean, he's a very brave guy. He's talking about things that I'm sure a lot of people might also ridicule him for. But again, who's to say what happened in Egypt in the past? Who's to say what happened with this gentleman with an extraterrestrial encounter? These are people's experiences, but certainly Xaviant has done a lot of research on this, and I think tonight we're going to take a trip back in time with him.
Oh, nice.
We will totally enjoy.
Yes.
And we're going to find out more about the truth here. So I think it's time to bring Xaviant onto the show, and let's find out all about ancient Egypt and aliens. Xaviant, you are live on the air with Supernatural Girls. Welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me on. I'm excited to be here.
It's our pleasure. It's our pleasure.
Yes.
It's a great book.
Oh, thank you so much. It was definitely a challenge.
Oh, yeah.
I loved it.
I'm so glad you guys read it and appreciate it. So it's, to me, to give interviews for people who've actually read the book and is, makes it so much funner and so much better. So this is going to be awesome.
Yes. Everyone needs to go out and get this book, I'm telling you, because there's so much in there that they didn't tell the public, and you see what is going on. It's just fascinating. And
the name of the book is Aliens in Ancient Egypt, the Brotherhood of the Serpent, and the Secrets of the Nile Civilization, and it is linked on our website, and you can also go directly to Amazon.com to purchase the book. So, Xaviant, what got you interested in researching this topic?
Well, this is like a lifelong kind of obsession for me. I've always been interested in Egypt and the pyramids and Sphinx, probably since I was about 12, 13, when I first saw them in the books. And I believe there was a show called In Search Of with Leonard Nimoy.
Oh, that was one of my favorites,
that was like my favorite show when I was, 12, when a teenager. When that show came on, I was glued to the TV. And so it kind of been self-taught and self-studying this, because I found out when I was going to school and getting older that, what they were trying to teach me didn't jive with what I was kind of learning on my own. For instance, once you read Chariots of the Gods at an early age, it's pretty much game over for the history teacher in 10th grade. He just can't compete. So it's just been a passion of mine. I've always, I think, I read the Egyptian Book of the Dead and most of the funerary texts when I was about 16, 17, and watched documentaries about because I was always into mythology, right? From all cultures. I was lucky that I didn't have this religious dogma put over my head, which, it's a good thing, but also it could be a bad thing if it's too much driven into you. Because, when I was younger, I stayed with my grandparents, and my grandmother used to take me to church, and it was a Lutheran church. And it was great when I was a kid. I had no problems at all, and I enjoyed my grandmother reading to me with the illustrated Bible, and it fueled my imagination. But when I got a little older, I lived with my father and my mother and everything else. And when I lived with my mother, there was no, she was sort of atheist in a way, I guess. There's nothing mentioned about church or religion or anything. But she had these the Egyptian cat god statues, and Buddhist stuff and all this. So I was kind of allowed to just dip my little foot into everything, right? And just kind of see what worked for me. And this made it so much easier to study Hindu mythology and Hindu religions and Egyptians and the Native Americans, which being from the Pacific Northwest, that's one thing that's really good about growing up in that area. I was really familiar with the native tribes and native histories. And my great-great-grandmother was actually a medicine woman from Blackfeet Indians in Montana. So I always had that kind of connection, which was kind of helped me do the first book, The Suppressed History of America, which I talk about the murder of Meriwether Lewis and the Lewis and Clark discoveries and, a lot of the hidden history of the early Revolutionary War. So this is, it's always been a passion of mine, like a hobby, so to speak, to, always study these things. And so the Egyptian stuff, it just I'd always been reading about it. I'd read Ancient Evenings by Norman Mailer, which is fiction, but it's incredible. I mean, obviously it's well researched. And, continually being fascinated by ancient Egypt. But what really set me off was Dr. Carmen Bolter's Pyramid Code series, documentary series. Have you guys seen this?
No, this doesn't sound familiar. Does that sound familiar to you, Becky? No.
No,
okay.
It doesn't.
Tell us about it.
Wow, well, it came out about 2010. It was on Netflix. I know you could probably watch it all on YouTube. It's 5 parts. Totally amazing. She goes back to the indigenous teachings, and there was an indigenous wisdom keeper named Hakeem Arawan that she was able, before he died, she was able to get him in this series and just get this whole incredible back history of ancient Egypt according to the oral traditions, and she was able to show amazing stuff that the tourist ain't shown. Like in the book you'll be familiar with like the crystal altar and the compass and the massive megalithic structures and Abydos and just amazing stuff. Like there's huge granite blocks with saw marks in them, right? You can see there's some sort of laser technology or something made these marks. And, Egyptology doesn't like to talk about it, and they never really point this out. But it's there, and it's just, explain that. It makes no sense, right?
Well, there's so much information, as you point out in your book, and as Becky just referenced also, that people don't know about ancient Egypt. And there are so many technologies that they had access to than they used. I mean, it must have been really exciting for you to study all of what they really knew.
Oh yeah, it was incredible. And basically, the backstory for the book is, I got a hold of Carmen Bolter, and we got together and we kind of agreed to co-author this book, right? And we got Graham Hancock to agree to write the foreword. And we got a big advance from a publisher. And, I turned down, actually, my Intertraditions, the publisher of the book. They published my first one as well. I turned down their initial offer, and I went to a bigger publisher and got a bigger advance. And we were, getting ready to do the book, and it was exciting. And we had thought, with using satellite imagery, Google Earth and things like this, we had thought we had found some like spaceship petroglyphs or even actual spaceships buried out in the desert, right? Mm-hmm. So once we kind of were onto this, then we got a lot of attention from the CIA and
oh, really?
Yeah. Well, crappy things began happening. Like Carmen's only son died in a mysterious car accident.
Oh no.
Yeah, her father had a heart attack and died. She lost her professor gig at the University of Calgary. She was blackballed from speaking engagements. Our whole hard drives and everything were mysteriously wiped clean. Basically, it was to the point where she backed out of the project. She just couldn't handle it no more.
What a shame! Oh my goodness!
Yeah, it was incredible. And me, like I'm nobody really. So they just kind of tried their little phone call tactics and just. But I didn't care because this is, I wrote it myself, basically. I said, okay, whatever, I'll finish it, write it myself, pay back more money than I even received to retain the rights legally, right? Mm-hmm. It was a nightmare. Basically delayed the whole thing for a year and a half. And, but I finished it, got the rights back, and thankfully Intertraditions, they were still cool with me, and they saw the worth, and they published it, and here we go.
Well, thank goodness Intertraditions.
Oh, I love those guys. They're my
yes. That's wonderful, and I see why. All these things that you have written in here, a lot the public does not know, and I see even what you're saying, why things happen. I mean, it's just amazing. Even way back to the actual structure of DNA and aliens being involved with humans and all the way up through, and the structure of the Brotherhood, of the snakes. Of course, they're not going to want that out. I mean, and even down to JFK's secret being called Lancer and his Secret Service name and oh my gosh.
Thank you. There's a lot there. I mean, it's basically you could open any page and have your mind blown,
Yes, I did. It was something. I mean, I really enjoyed your book, and I have to read it over again because I just went through it so quick. I was just eating up every word of it. I'm telling you.
Wow, and when I turned him in, I turned in 280 pictures, and I was like, all right, have fun. So it turned out
were you
amazing.
able to also do something with the satellite imagery where you thought you had found some possible ships buried?
Well, that's the funny thing is that's how it works, basically. Carmen Bolter had to spend about $20,000 to go out there, and hire, Land Rovers and balloons to get to see these things, right? And it turned out they were just bombing targets from the military in the 70s, like forgotten bombing ranges. Really, it was ridiculous. And there was unexploded bombs everywhere, and it was totally disappointing for her because she spent a bunch of money, but at least, she figured out that it was nothing. And then when she figured out it was nothing, the heat just kind of dissipated.
Wow.
Because they know.
Well, why did the heat? It's kind of strange.
Right.
The heat heated up.
Well, they're not. If it was something, then it would be really on lockdown. But since it was nothing, they're just kind of. They'll sit back and let me, nobody, write a little.
I mean, it sounds like they were in some high level of fear that you had actually found and possibly could unearth a spaceship.
Exactly. Right. They were scared, very scared. But when when we all kind of found out it was nothing, they backed off and kind of just.
I think you were close to something, and didn't discover it. So then they backed off.
Right. Well, you got to understand. There's about 75% of Egypt is still buried under sand.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. It is. And then you had, there was Zahi Hawass, who was called the Minister of Misinformation, and he would not allow a lot of people to do digging, and I'm not talking about just anybody off the street. I'm talking about people who really knew where things were, and he would not give them permission to dig.
And if they found something or got close to something, he'd cut them off and never let them return.
That's right. Yeah, that's what he was known for, unfortunately.
Yeah,
and then you're dealing also with people in the country who don't respect even the pyramid. I mean, when I was there many years ago,
they want to get rid of it.
Yeah, I mean, the people that were there when I was there, people that lived in the country, they were using it for their own personal urinal. I mean, it was disgusting. But yeah, it was that lack of respect for something that had stood the test of time. So anyways, but please tell us, again, let's start at the beginning with your story. You talk about the pyramids being older than what people say, but you also go into quite a bit about the fight between light and darkness with the Serpent of the Brotherhood and Akhenatan, and all that is fascinating. Could you tell us more about that?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, to me, that was the Akhenatan story was the best part of the book, and personally the most satisfying for me to be able to figure that part out when no one else really has. But to go back to the beginning, I've always felt that ancient Egypt, first of all, the pyramid field is definitely pre-flood. Absolutely, especially the older parts. Maybe not the top. It's probably been rebuilt, but the original older structure, the king's chambers, all the bottom, it's definitely pre-flood. And because we know this because when all the learned men in the 1800s and archaeologists, all these English guys like Watkins and Charles Piazza Smith were going there and kind of breaking into the pyramid for kind of the first time in a long time, they found a bunch of salt. And they were finding sea salts all over. And they were finding, and now we know that the pyramids have seashells encrusted in them. And it was submerged in the water at some point in history. So that's probably the last great flood, 12,000 years, 13,000, maybe longer, but
it's
whatever.
At least twice as old as what they're claiming.
Oh, yeah.
What traditional archaeologists are claiming.
Yeah, it's beyond, exactly. It's at least twice, maybe even 3 times as old. And, their whole history is retarded. Like, it doesn't even make sense. It's so it's so full of lies, and it's preposterous, actually. And, here's the thing. So, it goes back to the Golden Ages, right? So it's pre-flood, probably even into tropical times and before, because there's had to be always something there at that location, because that location is, the landmass of the center of Earth, the 4 points of the cardinal direction. I mean, there's so many sciences and so much ridiculousness, accurate math involved in that location in the pyramid field that it's hard to even imagine that it's actually true. So which means that at all points in ancient history, up until, however, like maybe even before the continents moved in different locations, that spot has always been like probably the supreme portal, energy-filled vortex, wormhole, whatever. It's the focal point of, I believe, of the Earth energy. And when the pyramid field was at its height, all capstones, all shining, you see it from space. So that's always been there. And then, I believe the true purpose of this pyramid field, because, it works with water, crystal, red granite, black quartz, different types that kind of create these, like, wires, right, energy. Have all the things that you would need, combination of elements to create energy fields. So I always believed that this had been to keep mankind's consciousness elevated, to keep us in a creative state, to keep us into a nature, peaceful love, because that's basically what we are. Human beings are naturally supposed to be that way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
we would
right.
hope so.
It's all in our DNA. We don't even understand most of it, but we're creative beings. We paint, we garden, we're into a nature. Like all of our the vibrational frequencies of the world and that we live in is certain decimals from certain decimals, and we inhabit this. And all of it, exactly, all living creatures, and it's just who we are. So I believe those pyramid fields were to keep us this way, elevated consciousness, because the creators of this understood that everything's cyclical, right? Like it's going to be dark age, it's going to be gold, it's going to be silver, it's going to go in a circle. Precession is real. It's every 27,000 years or 70, whatever. Like the Earth, like the number 72 was, prevalent in all ancient myths because that's how they tried to explain precision. Like the Earth moves, 72 degrees every year, right? So,
which is amazing. Again, like how did they know these things? There was such a wealth, again, of information that just is mind-boggling. I mean, I know one of the things that I knew about ancient Egypt was that they had figured out that heat kills cancer, and there are actual documents that show how they treated cancer with high heat. And today there's a company called Celsian that knows the same thing the Egyptians knew thousands of years ago, and they are treating cancer with high heat because they found that cancer dies at 106 degrees. So, but yet the Egyptians knew this thousands of years ago. So
they knew everything pretty much. It's nuts.
They were so evolved, and then they all of a sudden they started to devolve. So that's another story, right?
Exactly, and that's because when the floods, the last flood, pretty much decommissioned the pyramid field, right? So it was the ascent into the dark ages, at least consciously, and that's what Akhenatan recognized. Akhenatan was important because he might even been alien or hybrid or from the Serpentine family. I mean, from the Shemsuhor. It's not clear. We do know that he was, according to like the Hyksos, the mythology of ancient Egypt, and Hyksos were like this alien race that had come in and took over the pharaonic for a period of pharaonic rule. He was from that, so his whole family was always portrayed with elongated skulls. He himself was portrayed with serpentine figures, which is pretty wild. Like in the whole history of art in the world, the Amarna period during which he reigned for 8 years or whatever it was is unique, and there's basically nothing before it and nothing like it after. It just appeared out of nowhere, totally different, totally original, and was kind of chiseled out of history. And when they rediscovered it, it's kind of blown everybody's mind since then, trying to figure out who this man was. And, so he his story is incredible, but it kind of ties into the golden age aspect of ancient Egypt. Pre-floods, pre-civilizations. How far back does the Semsu Hor or the reptilian, or whoever had the elongated skulls, was that from the reptilians? I mean, who? It's impossible to know, but you have to ask yourself all these questions. You have to keep an open mind, and you really have.
He did have a rather strange appearance when you see the statues and the busts of him. He had very feminine features. And also, like you mentioned, the elongated skull. But there was a doctor also, I just want to mention, because I was doing some research on this and came across this doctor who specializes in diagnosing by looking at people, by watching them, and he actually teaches other medical students how to do the same thing. And he chose Akhenatan as someone to diagnose, and I know a lot of people say he had Marfan syndrome, which
is not true.
Would, explain some of the things that he had. But this doctor, his name is Dr. Braverman, was saying that he actually had an endocrine disorder that has something to do with too much estrogen.
Right, from the sun cycles, right? I think I'm familiar with that as well. Too much estrogen.
And it's interesting because he said the whole family had it, basically. It was a problem with estrogen synthesis. So there was a name for it. It was called aromatase excess syndrome. But he found it when he looked at Akhenatan. He saw that in the way he looked. But he also saw it in his children, in the daughters that he had. And I guess he didn't have, as far as they know, except for Tutankhamun, possibly, all daughters. And all of them had the same appearance. And apparently you can inherit this from just one parent. So it doesn't take two parents carrying this genetic anomaly, just one. So they could have gotten it just from him. So it's just another interesting piece of this, looking back in time to see why did he look the way he did? Why did his kids look the way they did? So, and that still may have an alien and extraterrestrial element as well, that it, again, explains that elongated skull. It's just fascinating.
Right, yeah, I remember reading that and getting into that, and that's a very fascinating theory he came up with, but the problem is it doesn't. Akhenaten's children don't look anything like him. Like his children are normal; they just have elongated skulls, and there's only a few images with the daughters, right? Like even because they try to claim that Tutankhamun was a son, which is not true because he's never shown in anything. He was related to him somehow because Tutankhamun also had an elongated skull. And the daughters, they look like just normal little girls with elongated skulls. They don't look anything like Akhenaten.
Well, actually, according to this doctor, they did show the signs of the same disease. There were certain things that he looked at. It's a big, long report. I don't need to go into it now. But they did show some signs of having the same disease he did. So the same genetic anomaly. So I'll pass that on to you after the show because it is fascinating. But again, all this is pure speculation when it comes to these medical issues. But it is fascinating. So you don't think Tutankhamun was his son?
Yeah, we know he wasn't. Like how they try to say it is some little description that doesn't even mention. It's just they kind of put it together and. It's not really true. That's one of Zahi-Hawass's little sleight of hand tricks, because they don't want you looking into Akhenaten in that way. For that to be true, that means they had to have found his body,
and they did not. Correct? They couldn't find it.
It can't. Like even if they try to say it was, it'd be impossible. This dude was the most hated man, of all time, pretty much. Like,
well, he was a rebel.
Yeah, I mean, this guy. Like, first of all. He was, like his grandfather, or great-grandfather, Thutmose III, had a UFO encounter. Mm-hmm. And we know this because it's written on the walls of Karnak. Mm-hmm. He had a UFO encounter, and so basically after this, the signal had changed because Thutmose III became this, like, warrior king and started building crazy, right? And changed the whole course of the civilization of Egypt. So Akhenaten, when he was a kid, he grew up within this realm. and this realm consisted of the real power, which was the Amun priesthood. But the people who ran the Amun priesthood was the Shemsu Hor. And these were probably and most likely the reptilians. Akhenatan was like a child celebrity, like a Justin Bieber or somebody. He was super famous, super awesome. Everybody loved him. What happened was, as he got a little older, he began questioning things, and he began looking into the ancient history, because he was basically the only boy around a bunch of girls, and the girls like his I'm not sure if it was aunt or maybe his mother, but Queen Hatshepsut was awesome, like pharaoh. She was pharaoh. She was one of the ones that they'll kind of let you know, there was a woman pharaoh. She mostly, even according to the indigenous, most the pharaohs were women. Basically, it was a woman rule, but they were in touch with the masculine side, just like the men were in touch with the feminine side. Because in ancient Egypt, it was all about harmony. To be truly divine and truly in harmony with yourself and your surroundings, you have to be in touch with both feminine and masculine. So Queen Hatshepsut was, one of the last great women pharaohs who was understanding the ancient teachings in Egypt. There were, women ran matriarchal teachings and the true indigenous histories, right? So Akhenatan kind of grew up around this and was hearing this, and then kind of at the same time being the child pharaoh and going to be pharaoh and going to be ruling and just having a life easy, he started questioning a lot of different things because he was getting this knowledge. And what happened was Hatshepsut kind of disappeared, and she was, she went on that chariot ride and never returned, right? So Akhenatan.
And who do you think was behind that?
Yeah.
Well, probably the Shemsu Hor. They had to get rid of her. She was talking too much sense, making too much sense, and she didn't fit because basically, since Akhenaten's time, we've been in a warrior king rule, right? The man has ruled, and it's been like all wars, all violence, right? Kind of really, really taken away from the aspect of the woman and how important the woman's role is.
Do you think he knew that about his mother? Do you think he knew that about his mother, and that's why he turned?
Exactly. See, he kind of he was learning and growing and figuring this stuff out. Like when JFK, may he rest in peace, the last great American president, and probably the only real one, like besides a few back in the day. JFK, you could list about 20 different reasons why he was killed. And he's like Ron Paul. Like he knew, this guy knew what was up, and he put his life out there to change it. And he knew how to make changes, and the powers that be behind the scenes, blew his head off in front of everybody. So those are the chance great men take, because they basically know once you go there. No matter how long you're able to stay elevating people and teach, and the hangman's coming. So Akhenatan basically, as he began to grow and get older and figure this out, he realized that what was happening wasn't in accordance to the ancient indigenous teachings, right? So, he goes down as the first monotheist, like, the guy who said, oh, hey, one God. Right?
Right.
Well, I mean, it's half true because he went back to the original teachings, which was, Amun-Ra, the sun, which is basically God, because if the sun goes out,
right.
There you go. It's the light of the universe. So
But he totally wiped out the priesthood.
Well, exactly. This is what he did. He wanted to go back to this. So how do I go back to the original teachings? Well, I have to get rid of the Amun priesthood. And because the Amun priesthood at this time was all the power, they were basically, suckering the people to buy all these little trinkets and funerary statues so they could go into the next life and all this. And this is where all this Christianity comes from. Like most of all the beliefs and seeing going to the heavenly gates and saying St. Peter, basically comes from ancient Egypt and weighing your heart in the feather, and then if your heart weighs good, then you could go into the underworld and get the pass and all this stuff, right? So,
well, it does sound like the priesthood of the past in ancient Egypt was not dissimilar to Congress today or anybody who tries to say, we're going to take care of you, we're going to be the intermediary.
Exactly.
So
blueprint.
That's what Akhenatan, I guess, set out to get rid of and did wipe out some of this. But then there was a disconnect, too, that something went awry here because the people were not happy. So let's hold that thought, because I know Becky and I have a lot of questions for you, Xaviant, on the next step and what happened in Akhenaten's reign. But I want to take a short commercial break, and if anybody has a question for Xaviant, please call in at 646-478-0828. That's 646-478-0828. So stay tuned. We will be right back.
This is Veronique Raskin, founder of the Organic Wine Company. As one of the pioneers of the organic wine movement, since 1980 I have brought you the very best and most authentic organic wines directly to your table. I work with small family estates who grow certified organic grapes and produce exceptional wines. You can purchase our wines individually from our website at theorganicwinecompany.com or join one of our wine clubs. Our organic wines are perfect for you and for your family as gifts for friends and relatives, and they are simply spectacular for the holidays. Visit us at theorganicwinecompany.com to enjoy the very best organic wines conveniently delivered to your door. I am Veronique Raskin, passionate about my mission. I offer to you vegan, organic, and biodynamic wines made by people of the heart, wines with a heart. Au revoir. Call us at 1-888-ECO-WINE.
Are you ready for a new experience of freedom and powerful connection? Would you like a positive, effortless change in your life? Then come to CosmicFusion.com, where we offer the most advanced energy clearing and expansion techniques in the world, with a quantum vortex energy to activate your divine blueprint and life's purpose. When your soul leads the way with cosmic fusion and quantum vortex energy, you can break clear of past difficulties and blocks with the power of the source. With cosmic fusion, the source energy does the work for you. It's easy and effortless. Listen to our free meditation right from our Cosmic Fusion website, the Cosmic Code Meditation. Sign up for one of our interactive webinars today. Come to Cosmic Fusion, www.CosmicFusion.com, to experience an effortless awakening and transformation. Are you ready for an upgrade? Are you ready for a new experience of living in the fifth dimensional magic and powerful connection? Then visit CosmicFusion.com today. CosmicFusion.com.
Your property tax bill. Have you seen it lately? It's frightening. Your property taxes are going up while your home value is going down. It's time to fight back and win. For the real truth about the property tax system, get attorney Pat Quintilian's book, Are You Getting Screwed on Your Property Taxes? How to Find Out and How to Fix It. Attorney Quintilian answers all your questions and gives you the facts you need to fight a property tax bill that is spiraling out of control. You'll also read about what happens to property owners who don't check their property records, only to find out too late they're taxed on square footage, fixtures, and even buildings that they don't own. Is this happening to you? Learn your rights. Buy attorney Pat Quintilian's book today. Are you getting screwed on your property taxes? How to find out and how to fix it. Available on Amazon.com.
Welcome back, everybody. We are speaking with Xaviant Haze, who is the author of a fascinating book, Aliens in Ancient Egypt, The Brotherhood of the Serpent, and the Secrets of the Nile Civilization. So where were we here? Talking about Akhenatan, who seemed to start off on the right track, and then something happened. What happened?
Well, what happened was he figured out the scam, closed the temples, and ran the Amun priesthood and the Semshuhor out of town. He moved his city to a new place in Armana, and he built this, his whole, like a whole new city for himself, and had this art, creative utopia, and, pulled back his military from the wars they were fighting, cut them off, basically changed everyone's stuff. I mean, so he, after a certain period, he became hated because naturally, if someone like Ron Paul were elected, right, and he put everyone out of business, there would be a drastic, sudden change. Can you imagine not getting your welfare check or your food stamp card not coming through? So a lot of people's world was turned upside down because, basically 70% of the economy during that time survived on the Amun priesthood and the religious stuff. So a lot of pissed off people with no job, right?
Yeah, they were dug in deep, weren't they?
Exactly. So he wasn't very well liked after his revolution. But it was necessary. And sometimes in history, for this has to happen. This had to happen. And this guy was very conflicted too, of course, because kind of what I discovered while learning about him was, he might have had some alien in him, but I think he was more human than that, because he wrote amazing poetry, right? Some of the Psalms, that are found in the Bible were actually his poetry when he was like 21, 22 years old. So he was very creative, very poetic, very in tune with what we needed to get back to and what the real problem was, right? What we kind of know as the Federal Reserve banking system, like the fractional reserve banking, which has enslaved us all since his time, basically in intervals. If anyone had figured it out, it's not too long that they're out of business. They always kind of come back in and re-slave us. For instance, we've been stuck under the Federal Reserve banksters or the gangsters, for about 1913. That was when they signed. When they went to Jekyll Island and signed us all into this financial slavery. Is that correct?
Yeah, so is that the Brotherhood of the Snakes that started up again?
Yeah, I mean, it's the concept. It's they wrote the blueprint, right? So, it's kind of interesting that in 1913, when they all got together in Jekyll Island and signed this Federal Reserve Act, that the banksters who were opposed to it, guess what ticket they got? They got a ride on the Titanic, and
oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, so they got rid of all their enemies with the Titanic disaster. Pretty interesting. Coincidence? I don't think so.
But then to get back to Akhenatan, because it sounded like, I said, he starts off on the right foot. It's like trying to get everybody to follow this new way of thinking and this new spirituality of belief in one God, taking away their intermediaries, the priesthood that was very corrupt. But then he builds himself a compound. He takes soldiers to defend him. So he has a very, very intense military defense, only for himself and his family and I guess his immediate followers. I don't know. And then the rest of Egypt was turning into a wasteland. Yeah,
exactly. That was the flaw of being one man against the whole town, right? I mean, it was a no-win situation, obviously, because he had to protect himself, and everything just got messed up. It was a true revolution. It was a true, in Cuba when the revolution went down. I mean, everybody's lives would change forever. People who had nothing one day had something, and a lot of other people got screwed. And it was pretty much that times a billion, and way scarier and way worse during Akhenaten's revolution. So yeah, here he was now in his compound with his children and his wife, and thinking, wow, this isn't working, right? This what happened?
He sent them away, didn't he?
Thankfully, he did. He sent Nefertiti and his children away, and what became of the Mary Magdalene myths, I think they stem from this episode in history. Also, the Exodus probably stems from this episode too, because it was such a amazing moment in history that it would just kind of not be forgotten, right? So
well, do you think, Xaviant, do you think that it's possible? I mean, obviously, all we can do is speculate at this point, but I know you've done a tremendous amount of research on this man and his unusual characteristics, and you did mention his grandfather had a UFO encounter, and do you think it's possible that he also did and possibly was set on this path with one God, belief in one God this way, but then he didn't have what it took to really lead the people with him? He just kind of went his own way. And do you think it possibly stemmed from an encounter of his own that he had?
Yeah, I think so. I think he understood that there was, they probably even were doing using technology and behind the scenes, and he definitely was aware of all this, So, for him to take the steps that he did to rebel, is just phenomenal. He would even be that ridiculously stupid or brave, or a man so out of time and so ahead of time and in his time that it's just, of all the people that's live on this planet, and he is one of the dudes that really did it. And he was an insider, and as an insider, something changed in him to try to go back and try to, right what was wrong. And that's why he was done dirty, because they just had to wait, and basically after they came and killed him and erased him from history, they went back to everything was fine and dandy, right? Even, Tutankhamun, he dies mysteriously as well, but, it all reserved back to normal, and it continued to do so. And then, Christianity.
So he was basically part of a moment in time when he was introducing a new way of life, but it just sounds like a massive disconnect, because what you describe in your book is fascinating about his personality. He sounded like a dreamer. You describe him as an amazing poet and in love with the arts, but not grounded when it came to how to take care of the rest of the people in Egypt and how to get them to understand the value.
Which would make sense, right? Can you imagine, having all those qualities, and still having to, figure out how to lead these people after you just shook up their whole world?
Yeah, and I think you bring that out very well in the book, because you say he was not a leader.
He was not, absolutely not. He was a leader, but not in that sense, right? He was a leader of the mind.
Leader. He wasn't really a war leader. He was, he wanted the best for his people and in life, but he wasn't actually a war leader.
Not at all. He was a great thinker, a great artist.
Yeah, he wasn't smart about it, quite honestly. And from what I've read in your book that you bring out, it's not like he thought this through.
He didn't at all. No, I know. He totally was like, okay, if this is wrong, I'm going to take you guys down, and oops.
Oh.
Oops, now you all hate me and you're starving, and Egypt looks like, somebody's overgrown backyard. It's not a good thing. I mean, there have been leaders in history that have made incredible differences, but they have been smart enough to understand the needs of the people and the need to make their countries great. And I remember reading about someone, of course I can't remember their name now, but I believe it was a great Mongolian leader. And one of the things that he did was he increased taxes, which everybody groans when they hear that whole statement makes you just want to run screaming into the night. But what he did was brilliant, because he raised taxes, but he increased the return people got on their taxes. So all the services for these villages and towns that were being taxed were increased. So people ended up with more, not less. And so he was a greatly respected leader. And unfortunately with Akhenatan, people ended up with less, which tends to piss them off. So you can understand their fury at him.
Too. He made sure he got everything. He had a plan that wasn't a very good one. But it's one of those things where it just that's how it went down, and we should thank him, because he lost. Like he fought the fight. Like he stepped up to the plate, stepped in the ring with the 7-headed monster. He knew he had to have known from the beginning, like, this is gonna get me killed, obviously. Whether it's 1 year, I mean, amazingly he made it like 7 or 8 years. It was incredible. Maybe even longer. I can't really recall off the top of my head, but he did it, and he left some of the most amazing art the world has ever seen, regardless of his alien connections or not. And that's the amazing thing, is because the truth is in the art. It's like everything seems to be lost in translation, but when you see a profound artifact or a profound work of art, or the pyramids, or the sunset in South Beach, it's a feeling, it's a vibrational frequency that.
Well, yeah, it becomes transformative, and certainly that's what art is in its best sense. It can change you for the better, expand your consciousness and things like that. But it doesn't sound like most of the people in Egypt had access to that. It was a select few. It sounds like maybe one of the fatal flaws of what he did was he still had in place a very distinct class system. And there were the haves and the have-nots. And, again, the have-nots really did not have anything. So, again, not to take away from him as the great person he was, but as you said in the book, he was no leader. So he did temporarily, as Becky referenced, got rid of this evil priesthood, but then everything went back to normal? They all came back to power?
Pretty much. After they got rid of Akhenatan, it didn't take long for the new pharaoh to kind of, we get it, and fall back in line, And the people are happy because everything goes back to,
to the normal for
watch
them.
UFC fights. And
What about these half animals and half people that you see, that are the gods or that are this or that? And they brought that in with the Brotherhood of the Snakes. Is that actual DNA, tampering with humans?
Yeah, they're definitely into hybrids, and it's all over in their art and some of the hieroglyphs. They understood all that, and even reading the text, they understood, about apes and their mythologies of, primate.
They said it was symbolic. People out there in the public say, well, they really didn't have a head of this or a body of that. They said it was symbolic. I always wondered about that. Why would they put that up if it's just symbolic? I wondered, what if it's real? I mean, cloning and DNA,
exactly.
We have it today. I mean, it could have been easily done back then.
Basically, everything that we're figuring out, the ancient Egyptians were saying, hey, we know all that, and, thousands of years ago, you're going to have your minds blown, because if all the other stuff is true, why wouldn't they be talking about cloning as well? All their stuff is full of cloning and animal-headed and, there's hieroglyphs like dinosaur with wings. Come on,
Right. even Adam and Eve, you wrote about that. And it was like when they actually seen who they were and what they looked like, the gods scared them.
Yeah, can you imagine?
Yeah. And then the Philistines, they say the generation of vipers, were they half of these, snakes and jinns in Middle Eastern folklore, ancient race of serpents? Were they like half human and half serpent?
It would make sense because, there's so much. I'm glad you read that and brought that up. There's, a couple of pages talking about all the different instances of the folklore and the different names regarding reptilians or reptilian hybrids or half reptilians, from ancient Greek to in Egypt. All over.
Yes, everywhere.
All over, yeah. So why can't we just accept that could have been a possibility? And according to all the ancient and oral histories, it did happen. What's the big deal? Like, why is that so scary?
Well, the big deal is that would mean that extraterrestrials were involved, because clearly, from all the guests that Becky and I have spoken with on the show and the people that we've spoken with off the show that are involved in this field, it seems to be that extraterrestrials have a penchant for DNA manipulation. So that would then mean that there's a big influence there that nobody wants, the government and traditional institutions do not want to admit to.
Yeah, and it sucks that they just won't. I mean, who does it benefit, really? Like, I know obviously the religious stuff and the church and all that. I mean, but I think it can go on. Like, this new pope seems to be doing a good job, and it's not. It's far easier to just talk about this openly and to accept this and debate it, and to do it in an adult manner than to continue lying and ruining people's lives. And it's so
Tell
ridiculous.
the truth.
Exactly. Like, it's not that big a deal. It's not that scary. It's far scarier trying to drive to work,
Yes. Well, even in there you wrote about the scientists in Britain having discreetly created more than 150 human-animal hybrid embryos in the Britain laboratories. I'm like, are you kidding me? I mean, they're doing it now. It could have easily been done long ago and let them go to the full extinct, all the way to creation, being born, and having these half-headed, birds, horses, bulls. And that's another thing, these horned skeletons that they found, and saying Alexandria, and let's see, who is it?
Oh, yeah, Moses.
I was amazing. Moses, yes, oh my gosh.
What's the deal
Lord
with
Byron?
The horn? Right.
Lord Byron was
Lord Byron, yes.
His feet even, cleft feet. It's like, oh my gosh. And that was a fact that was known way back then. So why cannot this be now and even back then? I mean, it's something that can be an absolute fact that people just don't want to face, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, well, they didn't get with it because it's far cooler to kind of ponder and imagine and talk about stuff like this. Like we're on a planet spinning through space, basically. Like we're lucky to even have this experience and to live in like the most incredible machine, the human body. Like it's such a blessing. All the stuff we can accomplish and do. So the idea that there were reptilian dudes, running around on Earth, and there's great aliens, and there's all kinds of interdimensional, like traveling species and whatever. Like, that's cool.
Yeah, well, with the horns, it must have been some other type. I wonder if that had to do with Taurus and Pleiades and Hathor.
Yeah.
With the horns.
Galactic fleet. There's probably, Babylon 5. There's so many different types of species, and I think that's cool. Like, that's awesome. I want to see those people.
And find out what they were like and what their agenda was.
Yeah, what's the deal? Like the fact that there's so many megalithic structures, right? We can't even comprehend. We can't even replicate them.
It's amazing. And then you tell us of a university in Sweden that reported the state of a preserved Egyptian mummies were so perfect that they would have no problem cloning these ancient Egyptians.
Wow.
That is amazing. That's amazing.
In what secret laboratory has that already happened?
Yeah, already going on. I mean, that's what makes you wonder. And these creatures that the people are seeing off and on, who knows? I mean, they've probably been doing this for years and years and years already.
Absolutely. I think they have. I think because, whatever they kind of tell us, we're all cool with our iPhones, like, woo, but can you imagine what they have, like how far, like 200 years worth of unknown, unseen technology we're not even going to have access to? Like the government and DARPA, they're so far ahead, and we couldn't even comprehend what they actually have.
Well, another thing that amazed me.
Yeah, I spoke to somebody, I can't tell you who it was, but I can tell you I spoke to them at length, and he was involved in these types of experiments many years ago. And I said, well, has anybody ever tried to get the files on that? And he said, we never kept files. So that people could never find out about what we were doing.
Wow.
So I found that interesting.
It is. And even he was talking about the governments with these patches they wear with the symbols that give clues. They've got symbols of aliens and UFOs and mythical creatures.
Isn't that mind-blowing?
Yeah. I mean, they wear the patches, and they're not even telling the public or the people anything about this. And they actually wear these patches. And I seen the picture of one in there with the gray on it. Yeah. So they're working with these types of things, and they're all hush-hush.
It doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
And the guy who
but they'll wear the patches.
Yeah, I mean, the guy who got those through Freedom of Information Act, took him 20 years or however crazy long, or 25 times. He explains in the book, how impossible it was for him to get a couple of those. And, it's like a whole secret agency was revealed, during this process. We didn't even know about it. Some offshoot of the CIA, some space command, why the hell do they need a space command, right?
Right. To go to Mars. They're Mars. That was another thing, the pyramids made from Martian silica. Wow.
Wow, yeah.
So who's there first?
Concrete.
I'm telling you, it shows all the way back. I mean, there's so many different things that you have pieces of that shows it traces back all the way and keeps going back so that, it comes to our time, which we've always had this information, and only the elite few kept it and have things going on and keep it from the public.
Right. This exposes all of that. Their obsession. That's why they obsess with ancient Egypt, because it's all there. You know?
Amazing. And this cloning is just amazing. It's just amazing. And then they found, I heard too, through your book, which is another awesome thing, 300 million year old forest recently discovered underneath a volcanic ash in China, even predates dinosaurs.
How crazy is that?
Yeah.
And it really shows how off a lot of our timelines can be with the age of the planet, the age of certain civilizations, of who was where, when. We have what we believe to be true, but so many times it's not, and then nobody wants to have the courage to stand up and go back and rework that.
Yeah, that's the problem. If they realize, oh my God, they'd have to rewrite so much, almost 80% of what they've taught us. They'd really have to change and rewrite because, Emmanuel Velikovsky, he had all these theories in the 60s, and they tried to ruin his career. And basically now he's dead, of course, but, they're pretty much kissing his feet because he was correct. They know, and if they read my book, still they'll just be like, oh my God, we just.
Well, they would have a hard time, I'm sure, going along with a lot of it. But again, you're bringing out some things that are very thought-provoking and very interesting. And certainly, this is all a very important part of our own history. And that big fight going on back then between light and darkness is still going on today. We feel it. We feel what's going on underneath the surface, and we don't have the information we'd like to have, which is very frustrating, especially to me and Becky.
Yes, absolutely. We want to know no truth.
Yeah, we want the truth. We deserve the truth. So another question for you, Xaviant, about Tutankhamun. So you decided and you determined that he was it's pretty much a given. He was not the son of Akhenatan, possibly a nephew or something like that.
Yeah, he's probably a nephew for sure. He was not the son, absolutely not. And most, Carmen Bolter agrees with this, and most of the true, Egyptologists who kind of understand the ancient, the indigenous teachings and kind of look into it more. They'll tell you the same thing, that there's no way that their little proof saying he was, and is garbage.
But he ascends to the throne at a very young age.
Yeah,
and there has been a lot of controversy about how he died.
Right, and like every year there's like a whole other show, like, oh, it was a mosquito, then he fell off his chariot, and he got whacked in the back of the head or whatever. I mean, it could have been a myriad of those things. Who knows?
It's very strange, because the latest thing that they've come out with is that his body burned up from the inside out, almost like spontaneous combustion.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my God.
But they're claiming that it may have been because of that he wasn't embalmed the way they normally do, or they made a mistake, or I find that hard to believe. But there's something, I mean, you're right. It does seem like every year there's a new theory of what happened, and it's very mysterious, and I think very interesting, because nobody knows for sure, and yet they have the body.
Yeah, that's the weird thing, they do have the body, but they never talk about his skull.
Well, they have. I've seen a show where they did talk about his skull, and that they thought that he might have died from a head injury.
Right, like there's one show they showed kind of once where they actually show the elongated part. And
yes.
then, like all the recent ones, they kind of just forget about that and change it, and they talk about the skull injury, but they don't talk about the actual elongated skull. I'm good friends with the director of the Cairo Museum, and they basically have they have to toe the line,
I'm sure, but here's my point about Tutankhamun. I don't think he was so far off from Akhenaten. I think he was obviously very young when he came to the throne, but my theory is that he was going to go in a similar direction, and I think that's why he was killed. So whether it was
a good theory.
Yeah, because whether it was another chariot accident or it was an accident that happened to him, that they murdered him in the middle of his initiation, where he would have been very vulnerable, I can definitely see that happening to him as a young man, that he was somebody that they thought might go off the reservation, like Akhenaten.
I agree 100%. They put him in there, and they were kind of like, yo, you do good, it's going to be a good gig. And I think he kind of wanted to go the opposite route as well, and that's why they murked him. So, yeah, absolutely.
So there's another one.
It was pretty good, right? I mean.
Yeah, I think that there may have been a number of people in history that have tried to reveal the truth or tried to lead people in a direction of freedom, and only to be overwhelmed by these other Serpent type, whatever they are.
Right.
Reptilian race, I don't know what they are, but they're not. They're not for our best interest.
No, they're
even
not.
if they don't exist in a physical form these days, it doesn't mean that isn't still there. It's obviously the same type of.
What do you mean these days? The reptilians. You hear all about them all over the place.
Right, but I'm saying, of course, but I'm saying even if the physical or even if it's not them, and it's still there no matter what. Like that wickedness and that alien, which is not human, because it's not in humans' interest to kill each other and to, it's just.
Right, we really are good guys.
Yeah, exactly. Like animals in the wild, they have to kill each other, they have to eat, they have to survive. We are not that. There's like no reason at all for you to have to kill anybody, period.
Right.
Unless your life was in danger, of course, but your life will never be in danger because, you know, everyone's creating art and being cool, and, like, there's no point to it. Like, it doesn't make any sense, right? So, you know, that evil, wicked presence that is just runs our society
is the alien that did it.
Is there, and it's alien, for sure.
Yes.
No matter what form it has.
Huh. What about this ancient Egyptians' strange obsession with the star Sirius? What is that all about?
It has to be some sort of clue, right?
Yeah, well, they come from there, or their gods come from there?
I think so. I think during the Golden Ages and the original, you know, the original space commanders, yeah, I think that's where they kind of came from, for sure.
Is that like in Sitchin's information?
I mean, not really. It's possible. I mean, a lot of ancient cultures were fascinated with the Sirius star system, you know, the Egyptians in particularly. So, and according to their histories and their own texts, you know, they were, and how they set up the pyramids and everything. I mean, it's kind of all pointing to Sirius. So, I would
did
believe.
They come from Babylon? Like, did this information come from Babylon and then to Egypt, and then from Egypt spread out everywhere?
Yeah, I think it all started in Egypt, and maybe a shared history in Babylon as well. Because besides Egypt, you know, we know a lot from the history of Babylon, which is similar, of course.
Yeah, it is quite similar.
So I believe that, you know, it's ancient. They're both equally ancient. Those are definitely the two that you would need to really get into to understand the ancient history and then kind of what happened. Also, you know, the Indian history as well is probably just as ancient. I mean, that's an unconquered civilization that's, according to their, you know, mythology, is billions of years old, right? So there's a wealth of information in that as well. So I think to study the Hindus, the ancient Indians, the Sumerians, Babylonians, Assyrians, and the Egyptians, you'll have a wealth of knowledge and a kind of good understanding, especially when you're talking about ancient aliens. Now, the problem that a lot of people have, and I made a point to kind of bring this up, and is, you know, to look at people like Zachariah Sitchin and Eric von Däniken in the proper context, right? You know, because, you know, a lot of people kind of just base their whole thing off Sitchin's work, you know. You can't really do that. Now, for a number of reasons. One, you want to be original and kind of do your own thing, you know.
Well, you want to find the truth, so you search everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. You can't just be hugging this guy's nuts. You got to make sure you got to, you know, spread it out and look and do a thorough investigation and a fair and you know, look into all this information. So when I looked at Sitchin's work, I was kind of like, well, you know, he might have understood this language, one of the only guys who understood it back then, right, in the 70s and 60s. But now we have libraries, right, Oxford and the Universal Oriental Institute of Chicago. They have their Sumerian libraries translated online for free. And you could go in there and look at certain words that Sitchin says or this and that, but according to basically every other academic, it's not the same, you know, which either means that Sitchin wasn't correct, he was writing a little sci-fi there, or he is correct in that they are covering it up, right?
Right.
So you got to be fair to both.
So you go in search of.
Exactly. So you got to be fair to both, because I mean, we don't understand this. It's not even clear that they even understand it, you know. But we do know that Akkadian is appeared out of nowhere, and is where most languages come from that Sumerian civilization. And like the word Elohim is indeed strange. It really doesn't make sense. And you know.
What do you mean it doesn't make sense? It's strange.
It's one of those out of place words, like the Elohim. So you know, whether you call it the angels from the sky or the sky people or the watchers, you know, it's basically there's something about that word that is referring to something from above, watching, right?
Okay, I see.
So there are definitely clues there, but for me, I think the most important thing is just to forget about the written word and the translations, and forget about all that, and just look at the art. Because if looking at just the ancient art and the hieroglyphs and the cylinder seals of Sumeria, I don't need anybody's interpretation to tell me that they're talking about some space people flying around, because it's all over the place. They're all in heavenly chariots.
Right, it's everywhere. Yeah.
And you'll see it in Persia, in the ancient Iranian civilizations, in Turkey and ancient Egypt, of course. So there's a fascination. And even, in the 1500s, I pointed out, like, Renaissance artists showing UFOs. And, it seems to have always been going on.
It has been. And we've got a question from someone in our chat room. They'd like to know what you think about this. What star system do you feel the reptilians come from?
Well, that's a good question. Obviously, most people will say that it comes from Draconia, right? That seems to be the popular belief. But I point out in the book that there's no need for them to even have come from anywhere else. There's something called the Troodon dinosaur, and during the dinosaur days, and scientists were able to figure out that the brain of the Troodon dinosaur was larger than any known animal during the time, and that if the extinction event didn't actually wipe out the Troodon dinosaur, it makes sense that during evolution it would evolve enough to have a brain bigger, smarter, and could evolve faster than mankind, right? And who's to say that even, because another scientist postulated that if other planets are inhabitable in the solar system, it would make sense that they would develop dinosaurs would evolve naturally, right? So maybe.
Okay, so what you're saying is it's possible they didn't come from a star system, that they evolved here from the time of the dinosaur.
Absolutely.
Interesting. That's very interesting.
Yeah, of course. And, maybe they were visited, right? Maybe it could have even been another reptilian species that visited them, or who knows? And they could have given knowledge, because if you read about, Adam and Eve and the reptilian gave them knowledge, maybe this is because the reptilian had the knowledge and he wanted to rebel against those who created him. So he decided to pass it along to this new creation, and he was punished for that. And he had to live underground for, tens of thousands of years. So it's all very interesting, and
It is. There's a lot to think about here, and I know we all have more questions. So let's just take another short commercial break. We'll be right back. And if you have a question for Xaviant, please call in at 646-478-0828. Stay tuned. We will be right back.
Are you ready for a new experience of freedom and powerful connection? Would you like a positive, effortless change in your life? Then come to CosmicFusion.com, where we offer the most advanced energy clearing and expansion techniques in the world, with a quantum vortex energy to activate your divine blueprint and life's purpose. When your soul leads the way with cosmic fusion and quantum vortex energy, you can break clear of past difficulties and blocks with the power of the Source. With Cosmic Fusion, the Source energy does the work for you. It's easy and effortless. Listen to our free meditation right from our Cosmic Fusion website, the Cosmic Code Meditation. Sign up for one of our interactive webinars today. Come to Cosmic Fusion, www.KOSMICfusion.com, to experience an effortless awakening and transformation. Are you ready for an upgrade? Are you ready for a new experience of living in the fifth dimensional magic and powerful connection? Then visit CosmicFusion.com today. CosmicFusion.com.
Your property tax bill. Have you seen it lately? It's frightening. Your property taxes are going up while your home value is going down. It's time to fight back and win. For the real truth about the property tax system, get attorney Pat Quintilian's book, Are You Getting Screwed on Your Property Taxes? How to Find Out and How to Fix It. Attorney Quintilian answers all your questions and gives you the facts you need to fight a property tax bill that is spiraling out of control. You'll also read about what happens to property owners who don't check their property records, only to find out too late they're taxed on square footage, fixtures, and even buildings that they don't own. Is this happening to you? Learn your rights. Buy attorney Pat Quintilian's book today. Are You Getting Screwed on Your Property Taxes? How to Find Out and How to Fix It. Available on Amazon.com.
Bonjour, this is Veronique Raskin, founder of the Organic Wine Company. As one of the pioneers of the organic wine movement, since 1980 I have brought you the very best and most authentic organic wines directly to your table. I work with small family estates who grow certified organic grapes and produce exceptional wines. You can purchase our wines individually from our website at theorganicwinecompany.com or join one of our wine clubs. Our organic wines are perfect for you and for your family as gifts for friends and relatives, and they are simply spectacular for the holidays. Visit us at theorganicwinecompany.com to enjoy the very best organic wines conveniently delivered to your door. I am Veronique Raskin, passionate about my mission. I offer to you vegan, organic, and biodynamic wines, wines made by people of the heart, wines with a heart. Au revoir. Call us at 1-888-ECO-WINE.
Xaviant Haze, who has written an incredibly fascinating book, Aliens in Ancient Egypt, The Brotherhood of the Serpent, and the Secrets of the Nile Civilization. So, Xaviant, I've got a question for you. And that question is, in your research, what was the thing you found that was most surprising about ancient Egypt?
Probably the Mars connection with the silica. That was mind-blowing, and how the French professor, Davidius, has been talking about they probably built, the pyramids and most of the megalithic structures with, like concrete. They poured it in, which makes absolute sense. And some of the, even if they were able to somehow with sonic vibrations melt or the megalithic structures and reform them so they kind of fit so perfectly you can't even put a hair through it. So those, definitely learning about that was the coolest part and most amazing. And learning about Akhenatan and the elongated skulls, the fact that Walter Emery, a famous Egyptologist and archaeologist, discovered a whole grave full of these elongated skulls. And, of course, they don't want to know about that, and those skulls can't even, they're nowhere to be found. They've kind of disappeared, right? So, and then the schist bowl, which, if anyone's listening, they can kind of Google the schist disc, right? SCHIST disc in Egypt, and it looks like some sort of lost technology, like a wheel, some sort of wheel thing. It's really amazing, and totally doesn't make sense. And again, this is found by Emery, the person who found the elongated skulls. And we're talking about Babylon and Sumer in Iraq during a famous dig in the early 1900s. The archaeologists found the Ubaid from the Ubaid culture. These little statues with the alien-looking serpentine eyes and face, and look like little reptilian creatures. So that was all pretty interesting.
Yeah, thank you for answering that. And it sounds like from reading your book and also listening to you speak tonight, Do you feel, well, here's the question, another question. Do you feel that there were two distinct alien races that were influencing people and our evolution? One that basically was of the light and the other that was of something else?
I mean, I believe there's a few, and I think there's also a positive. There's definitely a positive alien force for sure, because we know this to even be true. I mean, every time usually we try to mess around with nukes and experiment with nukes, UFO will come and kind of shut it down. You know, there's been some brave former Air Force generals speaking about this happening. So I think there's definitely a positive force there in our best interest to make sure we kind of go along to get along, even though there's probably more of the negative and different types of negatives, you know. Not even counting the interdimensional and demonic stuff, right?
Yeah, then
What
you're
about
into a whole other subject. Yeah.
That's true. That is. Do you think we have people already on Mars, research groups? Do you think that's absolute?
Yeah, 100%. You know, because I put out in the book as well that they've been knowing since they first sent the Viking probes up in the 70s that Mars has blue skies and breathable atmosphere. So they continue to lie because they're going to have Spielberg direct the whole fake Mars landing, in about 10 years. So.
Well, they've been hiding for a long time the truth from people, but with
Oh,
people like you, we're bringing it out.
I'm trying my best.
Thank you so much.
I got a
I'm really
question.
enjoying it.
I got a question for Becky. You're the daughter of right? You're
Betty Andreasson, yes.
Okay, so I remember reading about this when I was a teenager. That was like one of my favorite books. So.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it really was. And I kind of was just pretty excited. Like, wow, this is cool. I'm going to talk to her daughter and everything. So, I mean, can I interview you for a minute? Like, how?
Sure. Go right ahead. I'll sit back
you.
in my chair. Go ahead.
Growing up, how did you react to this living with that and your mother and everything, how did
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. For me, it was normal because I was involved with all of this from childhood all the way up. And actually, the beings I was involved with, I didn't even realize they were alien. I thought they were family members. So, and it was...
Thanksgiving, huh?
Yeah, well, yeah, your aunts visit, your uncles visit, cousins and that, and they visited. And when you're really little, it's the normal thing. It's nothing that is out of the ordinary. So, and then when I got older, there was a certain time in my life that I realized what was going on a lot more. And I was learning a lot, and they were teaching me. They were teaching me their language, and they were teaching me different things. And it was just amazing. And I am blessed because I didn't have experiences that were really terrifying. I mean, I went through stages, where, okay, I had enough of this. I'm angry. I don't want to deal with this anymore. I went through stages like that. And then it's like, okay, this is never going to go away. I'm still learning. They're still connected to me. And I've been going through many, many things all through my life, right up to present day, actually. And it's just amazing. And it's things, unknown things, things of the other realms, things that will be brought into the physical realm, and information that was given to my parents, my mom and my stepdad, Bob, and even myself, that have come to light, which is amazing and wonderful, and other things that have been discovered that we were told and puzzle pieces put together and that will eventually come out in the light and people will hear about it. But to me, alien was not really alien. Yeah. So I guess even in the Egyptians, if they were born into this and grew up with it, it probably wasn't really alien to them.
Yeah, I mean, it was much easier because you're shown the path at an early age, so it wasn't really a big deal, you know?
Right, right.
And I think Becky is one of the few that has had an experience like this. And allow me to say this about you, Becky, if you don't mind. I'm going to talk about you now.
Sure, you go ahead, girl.
Becky is one of the most powerful and talented clairvoyants I have ever met. I mean, Becky is just extremely tuned in. She had been trained by the elders since early childhood, and she has a deep understanding of many, many things. So when people turn to Becky for help with her private consultations, her ancient angelic writing, they're really getting something major, a major gift out of that interaction. And, you know, a lot of people, as you're aware of, Xaviant, they get discouraged by their experiences with aliens or interdimensionals or whatever. They don't know what to do with it. They don't know how to integrate it. And Becky is one of these rare people who knew exactly how to integrate it and make it work for people. So unlike Akhenatan, who basically I think did get that same kind of experience that Becky had and was set on a certain path but was unable to fulfill it in a global way, I see Becky really able to fulfill it in a global way. Big difference.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm trying.
No, you're doing more than trying. You're actually doing it, because I see the people that you help and the people that reach out to you for help, and it's just it's a real miraculous experience to even just stand by the sidelines and watch what you do with people.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah, that's from being born into this. That's what it's from. And one of these days I want to get my DNA tested like you, Patricia.
Yeah.
And see if I have one of these little hidden DNAs in here that nobody knows about.
Wow.
Wouldn't that be exciting?
That is, I'll tell you what, I recommend it to everybody. It was very cool. I mean, I found out I was related to Jesse James. It just made my day. So.
No way.
Yeah, it was great.
I tell my husband, don't piss me off. I'm related to Jesse James. So.
There you go. Bang, bang.
That's right.
Yeah.
So behave. But anyways, no, it's just fun to know all of this stuff about your past. And certainly, Becky, you're very unique in your experience, but you're also very unique, and I really want to stress this in terms of how you brought this information and these experiences into your life, and you've enhanced your life, and you've also enhanced other people's lives. And I think that was a missing piece for Pharaoh Akhenatan. He knew how to enhance his own life with this, but he didn't know how to enhance everybody else's life with this. That was the downfall. So it made it a very difficult situation, and then it, of course, created his unfortunate violent demise, so we don't even have a body left at the end of the day. But it's, again, Xaviant, you brought all of this out in your book, in which, again, I'm going to announce as Aliens in Ancient Egypt, the Brotherhood of the Serpent, and the Secrets of the Nile Civilization, which people can buy on Amazon.com. Fascinating. It really is a thought-provoking book. It really got me thinking about so many things.
Yes, I enjoyed it so much. I have a question, too. I had an experience, and I won't tell you the whole experience, but within this experience, there was an owl book. I mean, it looked like, a taxidermist had an owl, a book placed right in an owl with its feathers open. And it had strange writing in it and pictures and different things in it. And I was shown this book. And I was wondering if there was anything that you came across in Egypt that would speak about this, something like this.
About
the symbolism of the owl.
Oh, yeah. The owl, yeah. Not too much. I'm familiar with like Moloch, right? And in Bohemian Grove, they worship this owl.
Ooh, that's creepy.
Right, and
it really is. It's like, oh my gosh.
That's more of a Babylonian Sumer thing. In ancient Egypt, there's not too much of the owl symbolism, actually.
More in Babylonian, right?
Yeah, it's more of a Babylonian thing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
That's cool though that you kind of you're thinking of that. I was when I was doing the research, I thought that was kind of strange myself. They ain't got nothing to do with the owl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, there's something there, and I'm getting bits and pieces, but I want to know everything about it. So.
For sure, right.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I dealt with that. I mean, we were drawn to owls quite a bit, and also myself with cats. I'm very connected with cats.
Me too. The cat is, is a god in ancient Egypt, basically, and for good reason. I mean, if you actually study about cats and how amazing they are with their reflexes and how they make the crazy jumps and their sensories, they're phenomenal. Cats are really. I'm totally a cat person.
And the goddess in Egypt for that was Bast, correct? B-A-S-T?
Exactly. And my mother always had that statue in the house, always. So I kind of grew up looking at, and cats, of course. She's crazy cat lady. But I was kind of there's something cool about this.
Well, they're very advanced, and they do think geometrically, which I found out much to my surprise one day when I was at Bob Monroe's house in Virginia, and one of the cats got up in the dining room table and just sat down in front of me and stared at me, and suddenly I got all of these geometric images.
Wow.
And I didn't understand them, but I knew that cat knew more than I did. So
that's really amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was an amazing moment when I went, wow, I'm really stupid compared to this cat. Everything about geometry and the flow, and then you can understand, I think, even better how they make those jumps and how they move so fluidly.
Yep.
And I really think the animal kingdom sees the spiritual realm quite easily, and cats are really great at night for that.
Yeah, 100% convinced that they are in tune with the supernatural, the paranormal world for sure.
Yeah.
Just like babies are, because babies, it's not conditioned out of them, right? So at a certain age, they have they're mad psychic, they're mad, in tune with the ghostly world, 100%. So it's really cool.
Yeah.
Xaviant, what do you think about? What is your thought on the curses from the tombs and the curse of the pharaohs? There's been a lot said about that, and certainly in your research, you must have come across that.
Well, that's very interesting. Can't figure that one out. Curse, probably, because a lot of people died, right?
Well, the Egyptians knew a lot about magic.
Yeah, exactly. Their whole world was, basically religion, all forms of religion come from magic. That's the first nature, it's the initial magic, which is not even magic, it's just understanding white and light and dark forces and energies, right? How that works and how to understand the mathematical code to make that exist within nature. So there could have been something on that psychic realm, or it could have been something like moldy spores or something, right? It's very fascinating. You could go on YouTube and watch, documentaries on that, and it's really cool. And one of the unsolved mysteries, right? I mean, who could figure that one out?
Well, it truly is. That's why I was wondering what you found about it. But there is a book written by Paul Brunton, who is an historian, and it's called A Search in Secret Egypt. And one of the chapters he discusses, he was in the Valley of the Kings, riding his little donkey, and all of a sudden he came across this man who just appeared, and it was an adept. And this man approached him and said, you need to tell people, you need to tell your people to stop opening up these tombs, because the Egyptians really understood magic, and they knew how to basically trap these entities to guard these tombs. And when your people open these tombs, these things are getting loose.
I believe it.
And they are causing calamities in the world that you will never, ever be able to trace to them.
Right,
but you have to make them stop. And so it was interesting because Paul was, he was an historian, right? He wasn't a metaphysician. He wasn't into any of this stuff. But it made a profound impact on him, enough so that he wrote about it in his book. And it made more sense to me than anything that I've heard in the past about this whole event of opening tombs and letting these things loose.
Well, that sounds very logical.
Yeah, of course. If there's a massive curse, right, magic on whatever was associated with this, and then, they take certain artifacts home. So, the force is within that artifact, and the curse just follows it there. So that's something you carry around for a long time.
Who is the oldest ancient Egyptian god?
The most important would be Ra, Amun-Ra, and
Amun-Ra,
and that's in Christianity. Like when you're done praying, you say Amen.
Right.
That's where it comes from. Amun-Ra, the sun god.
I see. Huh.
And Amun-Ra sent his one begotten son, like the Jesus figure, Son of Man, S-U-N, right? So Osiris was sent to Earth to teach, the people the ways of good, and to show them technology and make everyone awesome. And he was basically killed by his brother, like his jealous brother.
Yeah, Set, the evil one.
Right, that would be Horus.
Yes. Okay, Horus. All right.
Or no, that would be Set.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, it was Set.
Set,
yeah.
Right.
Set.
There's Lord of the Underworld, which would be the devil, right? He comes. That's where that stems from. So he killed him, and he was cut his body into 14 pieces. And Isis, who was, Osiris's wife, whatever, she came and assembled him, and then had the kid Osiris. Not Osiris, but Horus.
Horus, right.
Then avenged, his father's death, and killed Set and sent him to the underworld. And that's basically the mythology of ancient Egypt. And but at some point, it would make sense that these were physical characters. So
I think that's the question. And I think, Becky, you also brought this up several times tonight. How much of this is myth and how much of this is about things, people that really did exist. And
right.
Again, when you look through the photographs that you have in your book, which are awesome, you do have a lot of the statuary, and they have the head of a lion, they have the head of this, the head of that. It's interesting to think, well, is it just symbolic, or were there some type of advanced people that did have the head of a lion or the head of something else that would look like an animal to us? And maybe their DNA was manipulated. Maybe they were created in an alien lab and brought here, but they had some high level of consciousness. It's hard to say. Don't you wish you'd go back in a time machine and see all this stuff?
Yes.
I do.
I do. That's true.
We gotta
well,
get that going. I'll tell you, there's just too many mysteries back there.
There is.
Well, think about, we don't even know how they did Stonehenge,
Yeah.
Just to see, who, there's this singer, right? He's so funny. His name's, Elvis, but not Elvis. It's with a Y, so it's Y-L-V-I-S. I think he's from Europe somewhere. He did this song, What Does the Fox Say? It's, a super famous club song. But he's a comedian. He makes, kind of Weird Al Yankovic type songs. So he has a whole song about Stonehenge and the meaning of Stonehenge, and I would advise anyone listening to go to YouTube and kind of look that up, Y-L-V-I-S, the meaning of Stonehenge, and watch the video. It's freaking hilarious. So, it's drove many men mad.
Well, again, there's just so much back there that I think could be of value, and you do talk about that in the book, that, again, there was this period of grace, and it just all went down very quickly, unfortunately. And certainly the civilization that was once there, that was so great, there's no trace of it today.
Yeah, what happened to those guys?
What happened to them is right.
Right, that is amazing.
It devolved instead of evolved. not a good thing when it devolves.
Well, that's probably from the Brotherhood of the Snakes. They're going to say nobody's going to top us again. That's it. And so they did that. I think that's what that is.
I think so, but I agree with you completely, Becky. And I also have to look at us as humans and saying, what choices did we make? And what choices are we making today? Because, again, you look at people who are given gifts or put on a certain path or given a certain task to accomplish. And, how many people are committed to it, will reach their goal and reach out and help themselves and others, and how many abandon ship. And,
yeah, that's true.
It's all personal choice. It's all,
exactly.
will.
This is the problem for me, and I love that you bring that up. It's, obviously each one of us is given a gift, right? They're not all the same. And for us not to use our gifts, that's it. Like, you're basically turning your back on the Creator and those who, like, your true meaning of what you're supposed to be doing. And
who you are, yeah.
That's the complete loss. So, but to use your gifts and to recognize them, that's the whole battle, right? That's, and for me, it's, I've been doing this, writing and being creative and following my path, for a long, long time. And there's, like, Stephen King, he talks about in his memoirs all the rejection letters he got, right? He had a little spike, and he put it on the wall, and the rejection letters would fill up, and the spike would fall off, and you have to put it back up and do it again. And this went on for years until he was able to sell Carrie. So if you want to write books and you're committed to doing this, and this is what you're supposed to be doing, be prepared that, if Stephen King had to go through that, what makes you think you won't either, right? It's ridiculous. So I've done the work. I've had many rejection letters for many years, and to get to the point where I have, 3 books out and a few more coming next year and more, it's an amazing blessing. But, I do the work. And then, not only is it writing the book, it's marketing and doing radio shows and talking to people and promoting and it's a lot to do.
Oh, we know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's
so
a lot of work. It's a big commitment.
It's a lot of course. So
if
you don't have it, like, if you're supposed to do it and you don't do it, it's because, like, mentally and spiritually you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. And that doesn't matter, and that's just not writing. That's like whatever it is you're supposed to be doing. You're going to face those same type of hurdles.
Yeah, Native Americans call it your original instructions. So everybody's born with original instructions. And again, I do agree that there are forces that were on the planet then, back in ancient Egyptian times, and there are forces on the planet now. Yet, guess what? We still get to make choices.
Exactly.
So that's the one of the important pieces in this, and I think it's terribly unfortunate. And I know, Becky, you agree 100% too, and I'm sure you would also, Xaviant, that it's unfortunate that we are not given the truth, and yet it allows us to keep honing our skills to find it, and that's certainly what you're doing as an author, is trying to get to the bottom of some of these very, very deep questions and very big mysteries.
Thank you, and it's because I'm a deep person and I'm very curious, and so I want to know myself. So if I accumulate this and I'm in a position to, like, write about it and hopefully translate it to people and they get it, I have to do this. It's not like I have no choice. Obviously, like, I can't have this and just keep it for myself. Like, when you paint something, it's not for you. When you're done, it's done. It belongs to the people, and that's my goals and intentions for this book. And I'm very grateful the way it's been received, and I appreciate all the love and the feedback I've gotten so far.
Well, that's great. Now, you talked about you have some other books in the works. What are they going to be about?
Oh, I have about 3 other ones coming out next year. A rock and roll biography about the rock group Thin Lizzy from the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
So, kind of my detoxing book, right? Nothing crazy, just rock and roll. And it's basically a warning of, drug abuse and heroin and alcohol addiction, So it's a good book, and that's my favorite band, so it was fun writing it. I have a book about Elvis conspiracies that my agent has a lot of different offers, and people are very interested in this. And I wrote a blog post about did Elvis fake his own death? And I would encourage anyone who's an Elvis fan to go read it, because it's had amazing feedback and sparked this whole interest. So I have it's kind of like a biography of Elvis, but I talk about every single conspiracy theory and kind of, did he fake his own death and the funeral and.
That's very interesting. I know there was a lot of controversy around Jim Morrison. Same thing. Yeah,
I have some stuff on him too as well, and a whole different series called Occult Sound Systems, and it's about rock and roll and those type of things. Very interesting. But the major work that I have coming out next is about transhumanism and robot spirituality.
Oh, now, do you think, I have a question from the chat room for you. Do you think that Elvis is still alive?
Oh, absolutely not. When I say Elvis never died, I mean that, his music is timeless, actually. And, but there's according to my research, and there's a 20% chance that he did fake his own death.
I think he did.
Exactly. And Michael Jackson was 100% convinced that he did. He even married his daughter to kind of find out what he found out. However, I'm the one, unfortunately I'm not old enough to have seen Elvis. I would have, I've seen, obviously, in the movies and stuff and performances, and it's amazing. I really didn't know anything about him until I kind of got into it, and it's really, it's so incredible. He was one of a kind. But, according to my research, there's a good 20% chance that he faked his own death. However, I like to think that, once he got that huge royalty check, he just ate a bunch of cheeseburgers until he had a heart attack a couple years later,
Okay. Wow. That could have been what happened, too.
Yeah.
Easily.
So.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. Well, I'm so glad you stuck with it. Your gift is really great. I enjoyed your book so much.
Thank you.
So please keep us posted, especially if you do any more paranormal books. We'd love to have you back on the show. And for everybody that would like to read Xaviant's book, it is called Aliens in Ancient Egypt, the Brotherhood of the Serpent and the Secrets of the Nile Civilization, available on Amazon.com. So thank you so much, Xaviant, for spending your time with us this evening and with our audience. We so appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I had a blast. It was so fun. And, anyone could send me a message on Facebook if they have any questions. And, just Google my name, and you can find all kinds of stuff. My blog, there's all kinds of different posts on there. And I have a website, a metaphysical website. It's a library, xaviantvision.com. It has all kinds of free books about everything, paranormal stuff, ancient history, metaphysics. There's lectures, So there's definitely a lot to learn, We can never know it all. So.
That's for sure, but thank you.
Yeah.
You're doing a great job letting us know what we need to know about aliens in ancient Egypt, that's for sure. So thank you so much. And I know, Becky, you've got a message to deliver, so I want to make sure you have enough time for that.
Okay. Yes, I do. This message is for Anne. Place the vibrations of color green in your life. Absorb its healing. Nuriasu tiashe indi tu kamaraha lara ko larisu andiashe ananeaba eteke lerianda soho koriate nayanda ha isia tatake. And we are with you. There you go, Anne.
That's terrific. Thank you, Becky. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
This
was a great show.
Yes, isn't this fun? I hate to see this end, but I do want to encourage everybody to go to supernaturalgirls.com, subscribe to the newsletter, take a look there on the website at all the things that we're offering. We have product discounts. We have Power Preppers that's going to start up again this week after Thanksgiving. And we're going to be talking about herbs this week, foraging for herbs and doing all kinds of exciting things to survive and thrive with herbs. So be sure to join us, and that is going to be 1 to 2 o'clock on Thursday, Eastern Time. And, Becky, this has been great.
Yes, I enjoyed it so much, Patricia. Thank you. And
thank you. And thanks to our call screener, Becky. Thank you. Again, we have another Becky here. We got to thank her for all the work that she does. Yes.
Double the trouble, huh?
Yeah.
We could get in some stuff, Becky. Yeah.
That's right. And we wish everybody a very enjoyable week and a very safe week as we're walking into this crazy holiday time. Be careful out there, and we will be talking to you next week. We've got another great show coming up, so please tune in and feel free to listen to any of our archives. They're all on the website and all on Blog Talk Radio.
Yes. Well, good night, everyone. Good night, Patricia.
Good night, Becky. Good night, lovely audience. We'll be talking to you soon.
Thanks for listening. Tune in next week for another radio adventure with Supernatural.